It's about the connection. Now put it on your canvas and let it be.
Hey everybody, it's your Art Sherpa, and today it's day 5 of 13 days of Halloween, where we have opened up a craft season with a daily Halloween themed paint leading all the way up to Friday the 13th for our live pumpkin carve. On the mic today is my husband John.
Hi guys.
And he follows me around with cameras and makes sure you guys can see every part of the action because we do these paintings live.
Yes, we do.
So if you're here for the live, it's live. And I hope you guys are great and great googly moogly. I'm still here. Thank you so much for the wishes on the Facebook group and on Twitter and on Instagram and everywhere. I appreciate it so much. I'm still here. We may break for a sneeze or two, but I'm on. I am going to be sipping water because hydration.
Because hydration.
So
We do
hope
need some of that.
everybody is wonderful today.
Yes.
If you need to know what materials we're using on this project, check the description below. Hit the 3 dots and the More button, and that'll pull out a menu that lets you know everything that's there, including a link to our traceable. So if you're not up to drawing this fabulous black kitty with this big green eye, that's okay. You can just trace it on. It's totally groovy. I don't mind. I am today, however, going to draw this on.
Yes.
Show you guys how to do that because I know I've got a lot of little brushes with me today and little brushes at heart.
Oh, yes. There are
At
lots
both.
of people who really enjoy how
Sip.
we show in the drawing, especially on like the eyes and the kitty stuff, because we have
Now,
lots
let
of
me
times.
tell you how hard it is to find a black kitty like this that has not already been painted. So luckily I managed to get a licensed picture and do this, but it is a really full category.
There's a lot of black cats.
It's a full category, so no bugging anybody else who has also a black cat. Just trust me, it's very saturated art subject. But this is ours, and we can paint this, so that's fantastic. All right, so this is a 9x12 canvas board. I'm going to put this over to the side. On here I have my blank one ready to go. And of course, I have some wishes. We have some wishes for baby Ava and her mom to be just okay and well. And a wish for Sue to have brain and body balance and chemistry, just good chemistry throughout her whole body. And a wish for Teresa's brother to heal and be well. And a really special wish, and this one is like, actually goes to several of our community members, but this is Polly's husband. We're really wishing that Polly's husband finds a job.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if you're out looking, my wish is that you find a job, because that is a really interesting time in our lives, isn't it, when we're out job hunting? So definitely wishing for everybody to have that. I'm going to put out some black gesso.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to say everybody really enjoys your hat today.
It's a good hat.
Yes. Tammy says, you are the cat's meow.
Meow.
Paint away.
Thank you, Tammy. You're awesome. Sniffles.
Sniffles. You got sniffles.
So I have my little big bad boy here, my number 30 Bright,
Yep.
right, in my ArtSherpa line, and I'm going to load this little guy up. I'm not even going to add any water to it because I'm just gessoing my canvas. You know, if you don't have black gesso, you could just paint this with black paint. I like my gesso because it's very inexpensive.
Yeah. Now, if you
And it
didn't,
has a nice tooth to it.
there was. I'm trying to remember. There was a question before the show started. Is it, if you didn't have black gesso, is it better to use Lampblack or Mars Black?
This particular black gesso in that one that I put out
Yeah.
is Mars Black.
That's what I had
It
thought.
exactly matches Mars Black. So my tip there would be use the deepest black you have. I believe that Lamp Black. I have a whole video about all the blacks. I can't really say one would be better on the other on this. I think it would be a preference thing. Lamp Black is a bit warmer, in my opinion.
And I think it
I'm
also
going to flip this over.
doesn't it have a different sheen as well?
It does. It has a slightly different sheen, and it's a little bit warmer. But if you're talking about a solid fill to black, I don't think you should let that hold you down.
If you want one, go for it.
If you want it, you should go for it. If you have both, I'd do Mars, because Mars goes real flat, real matte.
Yeah.
Choo, 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 choo.
Right there.
I'm just smoothing it out, making sure. You guys ever notice those bubbles?
Yep.
Where the little thing pops, and so this is just a nice little finishing thing. And then I'm making sure it's, I don't know, it's fun to paint. Okay. I'm not going to leave this in my water like I did. Good behavior, Sherpa. Good behavior.
We won't talk about how you have been abusing your brushes.
No. No, we won't. Now, not to panic, John, but I'm going to put him on with you guys for a minute while I dry my canvas with a hairdryer so I can chalk my kitty in.
I will let you do that. And I will say, oh, thank you guys. You guys, we've already had 300 people here today, so thank you. I looked over there today, and I was just surprised at how many folks we had coming out and hanging out with us today. So thank you. Now, I think Alyssa was asking, can you use a black canvas instead of painting it black? Yes, you totally could. So if you had a black canvas, you could use that. If you have a white canvas, you could just paint it black, and that'll do the same thing. I'm trying to make sure I caught all those. Would I just use black paint? Yes, absolutely, Robin. So if you just want to use black paint over the top of your white gesso, that'll do it. But if you try to mix black paint into your white gesso, oftentimes you get gray. So I think that unless you're getting a clear gesso, which at that point you may as well buy black gesso. But in general, painting black paint over white gesso will give you that white coverage, or using black gesso is another good way of doing it. So I hope that helps a little bit there. And I will say thank you all guys for coming and hanging out with us. We've had a really awesome live week this week so far. I'm not sure what Cinnamon's she's talking over there to me, but we had a really wonderful week, live week this week, and you can find out about it and all of the other paintings that we've got going on at TheArtSherpa.com/Sherpa Halloween.
Sherpa Halloween.
And it's also in the link in the description.
In the description below. So I'm just putting these two canvases, because you have picture-in-picture, but this is my picture-in-picture. And I'm going to draw again what I had. So first, I'm going to put in my little nose, which if you look is about, the bottom of it is about a hand up.
Yeah.
I could probably actually use a measuring thing.
Measurements
often help
measuring
to get
things.
exact. We're going to do centimeters to be nice to our European friends today. We're going to say it about 11 centimeters up. Over here, let's make a little mark.
Now, Rebecca was wondering if you could talk about the differences of why you suggest sometimes using gesso over paint.
Well, generally, when I'm using gesso over paint, it's for a finish, because it's got a very matte finish.
Yeah.
Also because it has a little tooth to it, and it saves some money. So I made a little 11 centimeter up mark. I'm going to come up over to the right, flat out. Right, and that's like my nice little top of my nose here that kitties have, right? And then we know that we've got this interior little spot that they've got. So I'm going to sketch up, kind of arc down. Now let's come in. Nice little kitty nose. Then the bottom of the mouth is actually what I focus on, which I just really love. And that's... So this is the top of the lip coming around here, but I actually like to do the little bottom of the mouth to sort of sketch that in. Now, the cat's eyes, and I'm going to just do really light dots to guide myself, right, about this nose, are going to be right here. And the reason I'm using chalk over my traceable paper is I really want to be able to just change my mind super easily. And it takes me a couple of seconds to work that all out. I'm going to take this down a little bit. I'm going to come pull this open. So see how there's sort of a correlation between the corner here and this? So that's what I'm going for. Now I can erase any of my chalk lines that I don't like really easily with a little brush and some water. And that makes it nice because every white mark on my black canvas counts. So this is, see how nice that erases? And I'm just trying to make sure that I like my little line because this little line kind of comes up here and then I can carry the fur here. And I'll round that a little bit more even, maybe down a little bit. So it's just about finding this beautiful shape that kitties have. And then just moving my chalk how I like it. Look how fun that is for, This is like, I think this particular chalk is CVS chalk.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I'm going to come to the center of the eye and I'm going to draw a nice little line down. That sort of helps me place everything. So I know I'm going to want to let my green be here when I make my little diamondy shape. That's going to help me with its placement. See how that does?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise I'd have it all crazy. These are all the lines that I need to draw in my little cat's eye. And here's me erasing. I don't want too much water on the canvas. I'm not trying to soak it. And it's going to make it hard to dry brush if I soak it. But this is a good way to know where things are. And then once I get my little white lines in, then I can easily take out my chalk lines and not have any problems at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, so you've got this and this, and I'm going to put this back over here. You guys have picture in picture. And let's put out our colors. So I'm going to put out a little phthalo blue, like you do. And I'm going to put out a little titanium white, like you do. And I'm going to get in my fur before I get in my eye. And how I'm going to get in that fur is, where did I don't have that? Okay, fine. I'm going to make
What's
a little
that?
Payne's Gray, which is a mix of my black and my phthalo blue. It gives it a slight blue sheen to the deep color, so when I add white to it, it's really, really good. Now I'm going to dry my brush out because most of this is about dry brushing. So I'm going to take a little of this and some of my white. And I'm going to come up under my chin here. And I'm going to just on the edge of my brush. This is a number 4 cat's tongue. You could use a bright, you could use a round. You want to be able to just make these little hair markings. See this? Where I'm just taking down these little hair markings along this little chin here. Don't want a lot of it. He's a black cat, and so, you know, we just see the little reflections on his black hair, right? Now right here, come down here. This is a darker blue. See how much I used much less white to this? And I'm just doing a low sheen right here, making that first little layer of hair. The worst that can happen if you get a little crazy, I'm going to swoop down here. It's going to swoop up and across, like sort of in an arabesque or an S shape. So down, up, and over. Up and over. Right? See that? With a little bit of fur. And it's very loose, isn't it? If you get crazy with your hair, what you'll have is just a very old-looking black cat.
Right.
So don't feel too panicked about it. Right? Your goal is to own this space anyways. All the rest is just hair. But I'm just, see these little brush strokes? I'm going, whoo, whoo, on the tip of my brush. Just following the lines and implying my hair. I'm not really trying to paint every hair. I'm just painting the reflections of some of the hair. And these are the dark reflections first, right? Mm-hmm. So we have this nice big broad nose that happens here. But then there's this nice little bit of hair that comes here, and we'll talk about that. And kitties are nice and smooth. They have nice smooth hair. Come underneath this eye. We don't want to cross into the nose because the direction of the hair in a cat's nose changes. It goes up, doesn't it? All of you grab your kitties and take a look. Cat's like, meow. I'm not your muse. Do not look at me. So we're just using this darker color to sort of help guide us through what we're going to be doing a little bit later. And see, we don't want to take away the black because the black is what makes the kitty feel like a black kitty. So you're barely seeing it, right? Mm-hmm. Barely, barely. Barely, barely. You know me, I like to paint in ranges our cameras can't currently see.
Right.
But that's going to change soon, so that's cool. All right. So I'm going to come above the eye, and I'm doing these little streaks. Think about that little spot on your kitty's face that's like an eyebrow with the little hair sticking out, but it isn't an eyebrow. This is important. This is how cats tell you that they're going to get revenge later. Watch that thing. It's very communicative. It'll tell you how you've messed up. This is not the cat food that I like, Mommy. And we've had so many discussions about this cat food. How could you change that on me? I had cats before John, but John is allergic.
I am.
So, and not like in some small way.
No.
Like
No,
in
in
a
that.
really like Lucille Ball comical way. Right here at the corner of the eye, I'm going to
Cat
flare
walks in,
out.
I start sneezing.
Oh, and your face swells up and you just like, it's just not
I
even
can't
cool.
see anything. My eyes start to water.
He just goes down, and the kids don't believe him. It's so bad, and then they keep like hugging stray cats and coming home.
It's just-
And then they're like, "What's up with Dad?" I'm like, "You touched a cat." All right, so we're coming up, and there are cats that don't have dander that wouldn't do it, but you know, once you own it, you can't. Like, if you find out you were wrong, you can't change your mind about the cat. And as it is, you know, we've got our wonderful chameleon Blendy,
Yep.
and our dog Twixies. So lots to care for in our house.
Mhm.
But we love kitties. Well, I love kitties. So I'm just following the direction of the fur, right? These strokes go up, and they're very light, aren't they?
Mhm.
They're this dark blue color. Now comes the pop. Ready for the pop? Wipe your brush out. See how I'm doing? If you need to, real soft brush, craft paint, wipe it out on a towel because you need it dry. All right? I'm not going to rinse it, though, and I'm going to add a little white to it. Now right here, I'm going to come right here and I'm flicking. This is the tear duct. And the hair does the swirl right here. You got to get the swirl, man. Get the swirl. Get the swirl. Get the squirrel. In the swirl. All right. So now I'm going to... Brisby! Brisby, if you don't know, is right now a star of the TheArtSherpa official group on Facebook. He is a rescue from the hurricanes, and he is a squirrel, and he is the light of my life.
Unfair. Your little Facebook. You just love to follow him.
I do. I'm so into Brisby. Okay, so
Well,
I'm wiping this off and loading a little more white. Yeah, babe?
could you answer a question here?
Yes, I can.
Patricia was asking if you can
Hi,
give some
Patricia.
advice on procrastination. She feels like
Yes.
she does more watching tutorials than painting.
Well, it's so fun to watch them, though, isn't it?
Well, and that's that's a good thing. Sometimes we watch these things to get enjoyment in in just the act of being part of it. It took me a long time as an artist to get past I had to play drums to enjoy listening to drums.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think make a practice of doing something. There are some really cool free programs like Inktober is going on right now.
mhm.
And it's by Jay Parker. It's a really cool thing. It's free. It's just a participation activity. And it's about drawing every day for 30 days. We have activities like this where, we paint every day. There are ongoing versions of these types of things. 29 Faces, my friend Ayala does 29 Faces. Find something that just asks you to do something daily.
Mhm.
Check out thedailypainters.org.
Yeah.
And it really is just about saying, my being creative has nothing to do with how I feel, but it's something that I am. And so you do it regardless of feelings.
That's
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a video where I talked with Lindsay and Chuck and Angela about, and this was one of the questions that came up, and everybody had really different, interesting answers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Lindsay and I were like, wait, we get time off? What? But Chuck was talking about, like, go get a new art supply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Should experiment with new art supplies.
Yeah. So that's what he's saying.
Or art supplies you may have laying around.
Yeah,
Like
try some
paper
new
mache.
techniques or new art supplies. Just get excited about your creativity. So I'm loading up my brush, but it's dry. Look, dry.
Dry brush.
Dry. But it's loosely mixed on the brush. I'm going to come underneath this white line, which is actually, interestingly enough, I'm about to erase. But this is going to be my black cat lid, so I want to hold it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I'm just coming on the outside of his eye. If you need a little more, I get a little more blue on there. I'm just trying to keep the brush dry. Tip of the brush. And we're just coming to the outside. That's when we're here. See?
Mm-hmm.
Making these little hair strokes. Hair strokes. Plant and pull. Plant and pull. Plant and pull. My hardest pressure is at the beginning of the stroke, and then I lighten it as I pull out. And I'm trying to follow. Just trying to create this sense of right here is a high reflection. Maybe a little more reflection right here. Maybe a little sheen catches this fur. Happens. It does. Let's come under here and let's catch a little reflection light along here. I don't do the whiskers on a black cat. I really actually try to avoid doing whiskers on a cat unless my tools are real hooked up. Because those are very specific lines. And when they go wrong, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better to skip a thing than do a thing. So I'm just adding a little more of these white highlights there. See how he's starting to be a kitty?
He is.
Starting to be a cat. Now, I'm going to add a little reflection center of the nose. See, just coming up here. Just a little bit. Maybe enforce this some. And then here is the all-important top of the eye. And when I come here, this is going to be, I'm going to lengthen these strokes. I'm going to pull them out, see? And create the shape and the reflection right here.
Now,
That's all we've got to do to get that fur started in there. And you can always come back with a little more of your blue, right? And just, see?
yeah.
Just give him a little something. Just feel like he's there. Now we got to get a nose.
Now, Brenda was saying that she was having some issues where she has going to a craft sale, and she's got a bunch of paintings that she was going to bring out and put for sale. But as she has them stored, some of the paint has come off around the edges. And I'm guessing that's from where they were touching one another.
If it's where they were touching, it's that acrylic paint will bond to itself. So if you store them and there's any paint, and this happens to me because of my storage issues, so it's highly impacted by temperature. If it gets warm, it gets soft, and anything's on it can leave an impression. It can stick to itself. If it's just flaking off, you've had a lamination problem, and I probably wouldn't sell those works.
But if it's just stuck to one another, you could retouch up
Yeah,
those?
you can touch it up.
Yeah.
In the art world, if I repair a damage, then it's still okay. You just don't want someone else to repair the damage. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've rinsed out my brush and I'm going to load up. But it's really about, is it delaminating because it was sticking together? Or is it delaminating because there was an issue with the paints bonding?
Right.
So I've got a nice bit of blue and white. I might get a little of my paints gray. I'm just trying to get a nice little, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to just, see this little tapping motion? Right here at the top of the nose. See that?
Yeah.
Tapping, tapping, tapping. Tapping, 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 tapping. And then I'm going to write lightly here. Lightly here. I might even take that out a little bit. A little bit there. Maybe a little bit here. I'm going to wipe this off. And I get a little white just right on here. I'll be coming back with a bit of a reflection. I just want to make sure that I've got this tapped in. Like you should have. There we go. Less is more. Less is more, guys. Less is more. Then I keep putting more on, so I'm not even taking my own advice. Check everything around here. Make sure you're happy with your hair, everywhere you've got your hair. And now, interestingly enough, rinse out and get back into your black paint. And come along this eyeball. And let's get that inner lid in. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is going to all vanish into itself, but you need to take the chalk out. This is a good way of doing it. I'm going to come up underneath here too.
You're using a cat's tongue here?
I am using a number 4 cat's tongue. You just use any brush you're comfortable with. I love this brush. It gives me a lot of strokes.
I just think it's funny you're using a cat's tongue on the cat's eye.
Cat's eye. I know. Cheeky me. I'm going to bring the stroke out. See, I'm elongating the stroke out along the underneath.
Yep.
There it is. It's very happy.
It's a very happy eye.
Now, I'm going to get some clean water, and anywhere that I have some chalk and my paint is dry, I'm going to just take away my chalk. Oh. Because every white mark creates a highlight on my cat, and I need to see where my highlights actually are. So it's, I love being like, woo! Anyhow. So I'm seeing where my highlights actually are. I'm looking here, I'm looking to see how he's highlighting. I want to just do one thing. I'm going to get my number 8's cat tongue. And I'm going to load up my brush with my this is the mix of the phthalo blue and the black and a smidge of white. And I want to just make sure that I've got just a nice soft fur so that he's very much like the reference. And if I need to, I can come back, remember, and add black. I just want to show you that you can do this. Right? So don't feel in any way trapped to what's going on.
You're not locked into one layer of fur.
You're not locked in, and you can come back with black and erase fur. Something you might not know, and if you needed to know that, that's how you get that done.
That's one of the nice things I've liked about fur is that it's one of those nice things that the layers tend to play in its favor.
Yes, it totally works.
So
I'm going to put out a little phthalo green and a little cad yellow. Just any green and yellow. And you can do any cat's eye. You can do, like, black cats come with a whole myriad of eyes. My reference photo just had this color eye. But you guys can do any color eye you want. I'm going to switch to clean water, though, so that my colors are vibrant. And my first little bit I'm going to put on here, right, is a little, I'm going to actually do a little green and a little blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to come around and paint. I'm going to leave my little strip that I painted in of my lid. See that?
Yep.
Because I need to have a little lid to highlight. Leave your lid. And then I'm going to paint around my iris with this color. Just starting to put in this color. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Plus I'm using up some of this paint, so that's economical even. Now here at the corner, I'm going to make a point of definitely having some type of tear duct. So you can see I curve this up. And I will define all that with highlights later. I can even come up here because there's going to be a shadow I'm going to be casting down on my iris. And so this can be the beginning of that. The beginning of the shadow. The shadow. Alright, so this is just going in nicely. And what's great is once this is in, then I can paint my iris in. If you boo-boo this, you can always just come back with the black paint. That is what is so nice and so easy about this.
Now, are you
just
at a...
come back. I'm rinsing.
While you're rinsing there, are you at a place where you could celebrate for a minute? You finish that.
I'm sorry. I want to celebrate, but I wanted to paint this iris in.
You
and then we're going to
celebrate.
Celebrate his eye. Come on. All right. That's so weird. I'm so weird.
We did call Twix in here.
We did call Twix.
The
the
bubbles went off, and she just came running.
Yeah. Whereas the chameleon is not into the bubbles, the kids and Twix are super into them.
The community is too, because they just wanted to let you know you've got like 470 people out here.
Woo! You can't see that painting at all. We need.
Oh yeah, you can. Just look. Go up. See, look here. So you can see, and there you can see a little bit too. But the cool thing is,
the bubbles are. Come here, bubbles. We need to get some bubbles. There's like none. I think there's a couple. They're very small when they get to me. There's a couple. We need new bubble stuff. I'm going to play with my hand. I'm not a unicorn.
We've got a huge crowd here to paint with us. And I just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. We really love
You're done, right? You can finish this yourselves.
All right. That's it. See you later, guys.
You've been painting with me a while. You totally get it, right?
You know the rest of this eye part. You just paint the rest of the green in. Don't forget to highlight. You'll be good.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
So goofy.
Thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Seriously.
We love you guys. You're a huge part of our lives every day. Despite Cinnamon wanting to get back to painting, I know she does.
It's okay. It's good to thank people. I'm not like this. Like if you're coming over my house, I'm not like eat, get out. But
we're gonna paint. No, we really do. But this is awesome. This is what we're here to do. We're here to paint. We love this, and every day we get to do it with you. So thank you guys.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little of my cad yellow on the tip of my brush
Yes.
and a little of my phthalo green, and I'm going to brighten this bright up. See how this brightens up?
Yes.
So it's this nice bright green.
Oh.
And I'm going to come here. Now, there's a nice shadow here. So all I'm going to do is come along here around the eye with this brighter green. You could be using any combo of colors, right? Because you want a dark, a mid-tone, and a highlight. So if you're changing up the eye color, if you were, say, making your cat's eyes yellow or brown or whatever color they're going to be.
Or orangey.
Just remember that you're going to want to have 3 shades. That's how dark something is, right? A dark, a middle value, and a highlight in the eye.
Yeah.
And once you have that, you can do any color cat's eye that you want. The deep color just lets the cat's eye have some depth here. See how it has some depth? Now, wipe off and get some just yellow, but don't rinse your brush. That's what you're going to come do here. Right here, you're going to add just this bright, bright yellow. And I do it right into my wet paint.
Tommy would like to know, are you going to have a live studio audience? I would like to come watch.
Next crowdfunder.
We have a very, very small studio.
Over here, I just want you guys to put a little bit of yellow right there.
That'd be fun, though, someday.
It would be super fun someday. Or just a paint with everybody live. All right, so what I'm trying to do is create these yellow highlights where his eye really, really pops. While that's having a bit of a rest, I'm going to take my green and a little of my black, not a ton. That's a ton. Little. Right there. I want it to just be kind of a gray-green. And I'm going to come from this corner here, and I'm going to come across the top of my eye. And it's more than my pinky. It's more like my thumb's width. And I'm going to make a little shadow. If you painted with eyes with me before, you're like, oh, it's the shadow. I've seen the shadow. She does the shadow thing all the time. It's her shadow. Yep, it's my shadow. So I'm going to take this across here. And once I have that in, I'm going to move my green kind of neatly up to that. My green right here, I'm going to move that neatly up to that. See?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Just make sure that that's a nice clear shadow. And now that this is dried a little bit, I might grab a little more yellow. It's tinted with the green. And just make sure that that is really, really there. I need to trim. Do you see where I need to trim?
Maybe?
I got a little big on the iris. I'm going to just trim right here. And that's how you do if you do. This is where you trim and correct. And you can trim and correct. Okay?
Just continue to give it shape.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get back, I can't back up for my painting, so a lot of times I have to be able to see things right on top of it, which, believe you me, is its own crazy journey.
Yes.
Right? Now, it's super simple. I've got my Payne's Gray over here, so I get my brush dusty with it, wipe it off, get some white, but see how it's not white?
Yeah.
It's now white. And I'm going to stroke down a reflection across the eye. That's all I got to do there. And then there's one last step. I'm not even kidding. There's one last step.
Just one?
One. I'm going to take this. You guys could use, I really like this stuff. It's a lot of pigment and it doesn't go transparent or let stuff bleed through. And it's a really great product. But I understand budgets are a thing. So if you need to here, you could just use craft paint in a bottle. There's no shame in that game. Budget's the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a small brush. This is a 3-0, a 1. Anything small that gives you a little detail is great. I'm going to load it up on the tip here. And I'm going to do the all-important inner eyelid reflection. I break up my line because I find in eye reflections, they're not like a solid little line.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I break it up. Just observation. Now, along this inner tear duct is some very important stuff. I'm going to come along the inside and make a little bit there, but I'm also going to come along the outside here. See? See? Bugsy Siegel says, see? Oh, that's so terrible. And
I think ever since you've been cold,
down here.
Ever since you've gotten your little cold, you've been
Bugsy Siegel
channeling.
says, see?
You've been channeling that sea.
I know. Hopefully it goes away after the gold is over. Under the hair here, the top of the nose, I'm going to come along and make a little bright highlight. That is some little, the nose is a little bit wet. And then come inside here and add some. See? See? And a little bit there. And I don't really think that there's anything else I can do except get my brush in my Payne's Gray, flip my cat over.
Now, why were you signing it upside down here?
Because I liked it, and I felt like it was interesting in the painting and not disruptive to the design.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much what I do when I think about my signatures. I'm like, where does this become part of the painting and part of the design? You want it to be legible for collectors, but you also don't want to disrupt your own work with like some big garish signature.
Yeah.
Unless you know, I mean, obviously the example would be Peter Max or somebody epically mega famous can do what they like. And if you're epically mega famous,
do what you like.
Do what you like. But you may find that you enjoy your work looking at it more, or collectors enjoy it more if your signature is there and present, but it reflects who you are and who you are as a painter. It's a thought I have. It is not a rule. No. How do you like your cat?
I love this cat.
So that's how you paint a black cat.
This has been really good. Now, this has just been one part of our entire week. I'm going to plug our week.
13 days.
13 days of Halloween. Now, where can we find out more information about that?
On the website. There's some links in the description below, and you go to the Sherpaween.
Sherpa Halloween.
Sherpa Halloween. It's Sherpaween. I do Halloween so much. And you're going to see not only this year's projects, but last year's projects. You can do traceables. Upcoming schedule tomorrow is a very fun painting of Lily Munster.
So looking
and
forward
then
to
Elvira. And then I think it's Vampire Teeth. And it's going to go all the way to the Friday the 13th, where we're going to carve pumpkins together. And I'm going to hook you up in your neighborhood. We're going to live carve.
Sanderson Sisters next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. That's right.
That's right. And that's when I know you guys are like a little like, oh my God, you need to really do it. So don't worry, I am. I hope you love our black kitty and his big green eye. And I want to see you guys at the easel really soon.